How to defend yourself when the world has ended. Every gun is empty, every blade is rusted, and you're standing in a dead street with nothing but your fists and a very bad feeling. No worries, your skeleton is a crowbar, your joints are levers, and your brain, that's the trigger switch that decides whether you freeze or move. Welcome to Biomechanics, not the internet version, not the become a fighter overnight fantasy. Biomechanics is the science of turning a fragile human body into a system that can survive chaos through structure, movement, leverage, timing, and control. The grid is dead. Law enforcement is gone. The rules are gone. You're scavenging a collapsed pharmacy when you hear boots behind you. Heavy, confident, not hurried, not lost. Someone who thinks you're easy prey, and you've got no knife, no gun, no bat, just you, your body, and about 3 seconds to decide if you're predator or lunch. Here's the truth. Humans are still apex survivors. We just got soft. We outsourced our danger to screens and alarms and emergency numbers. But your body didn't evolve for comfort. It evolved for problems. And right now, the only problem that matters is the one walking up behind you. So let's talk survival, not honor, not ego, not winning. Just physics, fear, and walking away alive. First, forget everything you think you know about fighting. This isn't a movie. There's no soundtrack, no slow motion, no clean outcome. There's adrenaline, there's chaos, there's tunnel vision. There's the cold fact that your attacker might be bigger than you, stronger than you, and fully willing to do what you're not. Good news, you don't need to be stronger. You need to be smarter than panic, because your body is already built like a machine. You just don't know how to drive it under pressure. Your skeleton is the frame, a rigid structure that keeps you upright, absorbs impact, and transfers force. Your joints are hinges, levers that turn small movements into big shifts. Your hips, shoulders, knees, ankles, they're not just parts. They're the control points. Your muscles are springs. They store energy and release it in bursts, not slowly, not politely. Suddenly. That's why people can sprint when they're terrified. That's why you can yank a door open when your hands are shaking. That's survival engineering. And your brain. Your brain is the targeting system. It calculates distance, timing, threats, exits, obstacles, options, faster than you can form a sentence. The problem is, most people override that system with the worst command possible. Freeze. Panic breaks the chain. Panic breaks the plan. Panic turns a human into furniture. Survival isn't about becoming fearless. Survival is about staying functional while everything around you burns. So here's the new goal. You don't fight. You create an exit. You don't trade damage. You trade position. You don't chase control. You chase space. And space is everything. Now let's get practical. Not violent. Practical. Because the world ending doesn't magically turn your hands into steel. It turns your environment into a weapon against you. Broken glass, corners, stairwells, wet floors, debris, darkness, confined spaces. So the first rule of survival combat is this. Don't make it a combat. Make it an escape. That means your attention goes to 4 things. Every time, every scenario, every day. Base, balance, breath, angles. Base is your feet. If your base is weak, you fall. And if you fall, the world gets smaller, dirtier, meaner. Feet under you, knees soft, weight centered, not tall, not rigid, not locked. You want to be a spring, not a statue. Balance is your center. A lower center of gravity and makes you harder to shove, harder to surprise, harder to tip. It also makes it easier to move forward, backward, sideways, without tripping over your own fear. Breath is your nervous system. Fear steals vision. Fear steals timing. Fear steals fine motor control. Breath gives it back. And angles. Angles are the invisible advantage. Standing directly in front of danger is the most predictable thing you can do. One step offline can change the whole story, because most chaos moves in straight lines. You don't. Now, let's go back to the pharmacy. Boots behind you. The sound gets closer. You can feel your heart trying to climb out of your chest. This is where most people do the wrong thing. They spin around too early. They stare. They lock their feet. They pretend nothing's happening because denial feels safer than action. But denial doesn't protect you. Movement does. So you do the simplest, smartest thing first. You turn your body slightly, not a dramatic pivot, just enough to see without committing. You bring your hands up, palms open, not a fighter stance, but a fence. It looks harmless. It sends a message. I don't want trouble. And it does something more important. It keeps your head protected, your distance controlled, and your hands ready to push, redirect, and create space. Because in real survival, your hands aren't for winning. They're for making room. Your voice becomes a tool too. Short, loud, clear. Not a speech, not a debate. Back up. Stay there. I don't want problems. And while you say it, you move, not toward them, not away in a straight panic line. You move toward light, toward open space, toward an exit, toward anything that gives you options, because options are oxygen. Now we talk environment, the forgotten weapon. If the world is broken, the environment is sharper than any blade. So you use barriers, a shelf, a counter, a cart, a doorway. Anything that forces them to go around, step over, slow down, reveal intention. Barriers buy time. Time buys distance. Distance buys life. This is the part that sounds boring. And boring is what keeps you alive. Most people want a dramatic solution, a final move, a heroic moment. Reality doesn't care about heroic. Reality rewards boring systems. So you build a system. Distance management is your first system. If they can't reach you, they can't change your life in 1 second. You stay just outside the range where someone can touch you without stepping. Because when they step, they reveal commitment. When they commit, they sacrifice balance. And when balance goes, they can't pivot as fast. That's your window. Not to win, to move. Footwork beats power every time. Not because you're a fighter, because you're a survivor. You don't need to hit like a truck. You need to not be there when the danger arrives. Now let's talk about the worst part, the mind. Because violence isn't just physical, it's chemical. When you sense threat, your sympathetic nervous system floods you. Heart rate spikes, vision narrows, hearing warps, hands shake, time distorts. That's adrenaline. It's useful if you're running from a bear. It's a nightmare if you're trying to do anything precise. So survival combat is not about complicated technique. It's about simple defaults that work under stress. Here are the defaults. Hands up, fence. Move offline, angles. Use barriers, environment. Protect your head, priority. Get vertical, mobility. Get gone, exit. If you can do those 6 things, you are ahead of 90% of people in chaos. Now, what if it goes physical anyway? What if contact happens? Here's where the internet gets reckless. It teaches people to focus on finishing. But real survival isn't finishing. It's escaping. So if someone closes distance, your goal is not to perform. Your goal is to create separation. You push off. You redirect. You slip past, you break the line, and you move. You don't get stuck trying to prove you can handle it. Because the longer you stay, the more variables enter. And variables kill. Let's talk about grabs. If someone grabs you, most people do the same instinct. They yank straight back. That instinct is natural, and it often fails. Because pulling turns into a tug of war, and size wins tug of war. So instead, you focus on structure and angles. You turn your body, you move toward space, you use your whole frame, Hips and shoulders, not just your arms. You don't fight force with force. You change positions so the grip becomes less useful. And you keep one truth in your head. The moment you have a path, you take it. Now, ground survival. If you are on the ground, the world gets louder and smaller. Your vision is worse. Your mobility is worse. Your escape routes disappear. So the ground is not a place to solve the fight. The ground is a place to get out of. If you're down, you protect your head, you use your legs to create space, and you stand up the moment you can. Because legs are power. Your biggest muscles are in your hips and thighs. They exist for one thing: movement. So you use movement. You don't stay trapped in grappling ideas and complicated sequences. You create distance. You get vertical. You leave. That's the motto. Get vertical. Get gone. Now let's talk about being trapped in close quarters. The scariest thing about chaos isn't a fight. It's being pinned in a hallway, a corner, a stairwell, a doorway, places where your options vanish. So you train your brain to always see the map. Where is the light? Where is the exit? Where is the barrier? Where is the open space? Where do I move if this goes bad? This is the real targeting system. Not targets on a body, targets in the environment. Because the environment decides whether you survive more than any punch ever will. Now, fear control. The thing nobody tells you. Your body is designed to run, not fight. That's why your blood flow shifts, your hands shake, your fine control disappears. So you don't rely on delicate movements. You rely on big, simple actions. And you hack your own nervous system. Breathing is the hack. 4 seconds in. Hold. 4 seconds out. Hold. Repeat. It tells the oldest part of your brain something critical. I am not helpless. I am in control. And once your brain believes that, your vision opens, your timing returns, your mind stops screaming. You become functional again. This isn't mystical. It's biology. You can't stop adrenaline, but you can steer it. Now here's the part that matters most. The part that turns information into survival. You don't rise to the occasion. You fall to your training. So train the defaults. Train movement in tight spaces. Train noticing exits. Train using barriers. Train getting up quickly. Train keeping hands up without looking aggressive. Train speaking short commands out loud, even when it feels awkward. Because under stress, your body will do what it knows, not what it wishes. And you keep it simple, because complexity dies first in chaos. Now, let's zoom out. This is not about becoming a predator. This is not about becoming violent. This is about refusing to be easy. It's about understanding that your body is a machine with rules. Base, balance, breath, angles. When the world collapses, those rules don't disappear. They become more important than food, more important than gear, more important than bravado. Because gear runs out, batteries die, blades rust, guns go empty, but your body doesn't. If you can keep your mind online, if you can control panic, if you can move with purpose, if you can see exits and space, you can survive the moment that ends most people. So there it is. How to defend yourself when the world has ended and you've got nothing but your body and the will to survive. Your skeleton is a frame. Your joints are levers. Your brain is the control system. You don't need a gun. You don't need a knife. You need awareness. You need movement. You need space. You need an exit. The world ended. You didn't. Now go make sure it stays that way.